All right, so we learned about metals and nonmetals. Next up, we're going to take a look at some more ions. And so what we learned previously is that atoms lose or gain electrons to become ions. And how many electrons they gain or lose is often based on which group they are, right? If they're in the same group, the same column, they're chemically similar, and so they often have the same preferred charge. So this is something that's super duper important, and you really want to know and understand this. Later on, we'll take a look at deeper reasoning into the why behind all of this stuff. But for now, you just need to kind of know the what. And so the little trick here is that everything wants to become like a noble gas, right? So noble gases are over here. And so everything wants to have the same number of electrons as the noble gas closest to it. And so noble gases don't want to lose or gain electrons. And so they'll always or almost always have a charge of 0. If we think about group 1 here with hydrogen and lithium, if we think about trying to get to the noble gas electrons, we could go from left to right, then we'd have to gain a whole bunch of electrons. The easier way would be to simply lose an electron. And so in group 1, the most common charge is +1. And everything below hydrogen is always +1. So group 1 always has a charge of +1 other than hydrogen. Hydrogen is just a little bit of a weirdo. It can have a charge of +1, or it can actually have a charge of -1 as well. In the second group, we have beryllium, magnesium, and so on and so forth. These guys are always +2. They always want to lose 2 electrons, because if they lose 2 electrons, they have the same number of electrons as their nearest noble gas. Next up, we have this whole section of transition metals. And further on below this kind of area down here are what's known as the post-transition metals. And so the transition metals are a little bit weird. They can go anywhere from +1 to +7. Same with the post-transition metals. So the transition metals can have a variable charge, but they're always positive. Group 3 here with boron and aluminum, these guys are always going to be +3. So they're going to lose 3 electrons to become a noble gas. Next up, we have carbon. Carbon can be plus or -4. So it can either gain 4 electrons or lose 4 electrons. After that is nitrogen. Nitrogen will be -3, followed by oxygen, which will be -2, and then fluorine will be -1, and the halogens as well, right? So everything below all of these guys. So these two left here, this +1 and +2, that's an always type of thing. The stuff on the right here is kind of more most of the time type of thing. So let's just take a look at another image of that. Right, and so you can see this image essentially shows you the same thing here. Everything group 1 is going to be +1, group 2 +2. The transition metals positive but variable. Aluminum +3, carbon -4, nitrogen's group -3, oxygen's group -2, halogens -1, noble gases 0. So you want to be able to identify the most common charges for any element based on which column it is in.